You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR USA. No, I'm just kidding. It's still RBLR Lightning, but guys, welcome back to the show. My name, as always, is Jake Ricker. Alongside me, it's Jose Vitaro. It's Matt Giddens. Guys, what a week of hockey, and there wasn't even a Tampa Bay Lightning game played. I don't know about you, but I had a ton of fun. I can't wait to get into it all with you guys. But first and foremost, how you doing today?
I feel like a little bit of a miss here because – you know, you got the blue on, Matt's got the white on. What the heck am I doing? I is a missed opportunity.
I got some red.
You got a little red.
Yeah. It's technically orange, but we'll go with that. I'm doing great. I really am excited to talk about some of these games because I think this was such a hit and a huge thing for hockey. Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm doing just as good as the rest of you guys. I hope I had low expectations going into this thing, but a week later, I'm all hyped and jacked up to talk about it.
It was a lot of fun, and we'll talk about how the USA, or not the USA, but for NHL has struck gold with Four Nations Face-Off. It's been a fantastic tournament. Really no disappointments whatsoever. For those of you who are joining us live, welcome in. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, as always. If you're watching this later, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell notifications, all that fun stuff so you don't miss out when we do go live. You can jump in the conversation with us here. Don't forget, leave your comments down below. We'll get them up on stream. We'd love to hear what you guys have to think, so you can go ahead and join the conversation. But with that said, guys, let's get into this tournament of the Four Nations face-off between USA, Finland, Sweden, and Canada. Of course, a lot of Lightning representation in these games, and it got off to a hot start with the Lightning players making an impact pretty darn early in this one. Of course, we had Brayden Point making a nice play with Brad Marchand, which we talked about on last week's episode, as Brad Marchand is rumored to maybe get moved around at the trade deadline. But Lightning players making an impact early before we got the heavyweight matchup, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Damn it. Am I starting to like Brad Marchand? Do you see the interviews, the comments from Coach Cooper? He's not being a rat on the ice. He connected beautifully with Brayden Point for the first Lightning points of the tournament. But wow, what a passover from Brayden Point being able to create that opportunity for him. This is a heck of a start to the tournament, and what like that first period I thought was going to be a kind of a blowout, and then man, both Sweden and Finland are a lot better at teams than I guess I kind of thought they would be.
Yeah, this game definitely, again, going into this game, low expectations. I thought it might be just a bigger, upscaled version of the All-Star game where guys aren't really check-in, don't really care, just a glorified, big old skills game. But no, from the moment the puck dropped, thoroughly impressed with the product we saw. These guys are taking it seriously when these guys are playing for their flag, for their nation, even if it is like an NHL sanctioned event, they're taking it seriously. Like you're saying, man, it's Brad Marchand. You do hate him, but when you're connecting, even if it didn't count on the scoreboard or anything, when you're connecting with guys like Brayden Point, and you do kind of have to cheer for them too, you start to find a little bit of a soft spot for him. It's been a tough road coming to grips with it. He's a fun personality. He's like the anti-Walter White, where at first you love him and then you grow to hate him. It's kind of you're born hating him, and now you're starting to grow to love him. I
like that.
It's still a long road away, but he's doing a good job of turning into the opposite of an anti-hero, I guess, anti-villain.
Not to talk too much more about the guy, but how in almost every interview they're calling him the elder statesman. But It's got to feel almost like an insult, like they're just calling him an old man, even though he is producing in the league. He's the elder statesman on the team in order to help lead these guys. I love the irony in it.
The funniest thing I found was that we had talked about it last week, like, oh, is Marchand going to work with someone like, and then immediately in the first game, you have Point setting up Brad Marchand to score a big goal in that game. And you're right, though, Joe, about these teams. A lot of people expected Finland and Sweden just kind of get run over. That wasn't the case. You look at the lines coming into some of these games, they were very heavy favorites on Team Canada, Team USA. But even in the USA game, which ended up with USA scoring 6 goals in it, going into the third period, it was a tie game. I mean, it was there. Tight. It was a very, very, very close game in both of these instances. USA obviously ran away with it when they got into the third period, but these teams did not go down easy. And I would expect that if you expanded this tournament and had more teams in there, this wouldn't be as clear cut and dry of a USA-Canada domination that we ended up seeing anyway with them getting to the championship game, as most people are expecting, which is a great thing because a lot of people have enjoyed these games, even when it's not the USA-Canada matchups, which is the biggest of all of them so far.
And this will be the least amount of teams you'll ever see in maybe any international tournament and across any league or any sport. Like the NHL, they've been so apprehensive to rejoin international hockey, providing their best players. And so, with dipping your toes back in, 4 nations or, 4 countries, it's piddly, but it is the least amount that we're going to see. Ideally for the rest of our lifetimes, because they're already talking about redoing the World Cup, and they're not going to be doing the dumb. I kind of liked it, but it was dumb and chintzy. Team North America and Team some of Europe and all that. Like it'll be actually, more nations, at the very least 8 of them. Like there's 4 hockey countries that are just as good as Finland and Sweden that could have made this tournament too. So it'll be a longer tournament too. I'm just glad that the NHL is finally starting to come to terms and realize this is not what all hockey fans want. This is what a lot of contemporary just sports fans want too. Like best on best international hockey. I'm glad they're taking the right steps.
And let's like they should have been in these Olympics.
Yes.
Who would have thought that was a good idea?
Let's tip our hat to the All-Star for making this sort of thing happen, and Nikita Kucherov proving how ridiculously boring the All-Star game is. And I haven't seen the numbers in terms of viewership for this tournament, but it's already good. I was going to say it has to be excellent because the publicity that you can get out of some of this stuff is so much better than a one-off All-Star game and the skills competition. Let's talk for a second about the way it all started, even with not getting into it politically, but just the environment starting off in Canada and the fans booing our national anthem, the American national anthem, and then the response when it was Team USA versus Team Canada. Gloves being dropped 3 times within the first 10 seconds of the match.
Where do you even start with all this? I mean, there was so much that happened. You're right. Listen, you guys know I don't like when the Blackhawks, they do that cheering during the whole national anthem, and they're cheering for our anthem. I don't even like that. So you can imagine how riled up I got when the Canadians were booing our anthem. But, political aside, I thought it added to the intensity of the game, the excitement of the game. It's like, okay, let's go. This is on. And clearly the players, they talked about this was kind of pre-planned a little bit, but I'm sure that energized the heck out of them. The 3 fights in the 10 seconds. And of course, we got one of the Lightning players getting involved in Brandon Hagel, who did a good job, by the way. Listen, I was a little hard about you guys, but I was very conflicted during that fight because, of course, I want to see Team USA dominate this game. But I'm like, oh my God, okay, Hagel, don't get hurt in this fight. Also, he's fighting a Florida Panther, of course. So it was very conflicting emotions for me during that first fight, at least for Brandon Hagel.
I was at the rink for that one, and there's quite a sentiment of who do we root for right now? At least they didn't hurt each other. And the fact that they're fighting for something, they're actually really giving a damn. They're for their country. They're working for the other people on the ice. I think it's a great show, especially since in that instance, it wasn't something that was like damaging, right? Nothing to damage their reputations by doing something dirty, nothing to damage their players physically. That's about as good as you can get for something that's nationally televised.
How about the quote from Hagel? Sorry, Matt. I wanted to hit this quote. What I did for last game, I did for the flag, not for the cameras. Oh, man, that's the kind of stuff right there. That's future captain stuff right there. Future captain Brandon Hagel.
Banger.
Oh, Matt, we lost you for a second there. Matt was so excited.
We lost your audio.
It was that good. Are you back?
I think I am now.
There you go. All right.
It changed mics on you because it sounds a little bit different, but we can hear you.
Give me 1 second. Boom, fixed. Oh boy. No, I thought I had missed out because I was playing NHL or just something on the Xbox, and I knew the games were starting later. So I'm like, okay, I got time to get one more win in or something like that. And I turned the game on, and I see Hagel and Tkachuk both skating to the box and holding their hands. I'm like, I missed like maybe what could be the best part of this game, like a fight off the opening faceoff, and then moments later, who was it? It was
Bennett. Was that the second one?
Yeah, was it Brady Tkachuk and Bennett? Yeah, it was because they did
both Tkachuk brothers spot.
They did the fist bump in the box. I was like, oh my god! I had some a friend over too who just does not care about hockey. He's like, whoa, this is the coolest thing ever. And then the very first actual shift of the game goes immediately. Turns into a scrum in front of the net, and then another fight breaks out. So I guess I was lucky enough to not have to decide who I'm cheering for. Do I cheer for my guy Brandon Hagel or Team USA? I got to skip out on that and then just cheer strictly for USA guys. But man, I mean, just what a start to the game. And I'm glad, I know some people are iffy about fighting in hockey at any level, but believe me, there are people like that. But
no, I believe you. How could you not love what you saw and start this game? I mean, it got you fired up.
Oh, absolutely.
Nationally televised, for it to come out with this sort of energy, that's going to be huge for viewership and getting people interested in, like, why did this happen and how do they allow it, and just being drawn in.
And like, it's a necessary part of the game, despite it not being like necessary to win the game by any stretch. Like, it draws in viewers, it draws in casual eyes. Like the Daytona 500 that just happened this weekend, if anybody watched that. I mean, NASCAR viewership has been dropping for years now, but some big crashes in the race, like that's kind of what people tune in for. As much of like not it being part of winning or succeeding in that sport, it is it's hard to call it necessary, but it is such a huge draw that gets major casual eyes on it. Like, there were a couple posts that ESPN or Bleacher Report put on the 3 fights in the first 10 seconds, and you have major names commenting on it, like Tom Brady and other athletes. LeBron James was saying this is some of the best he's ever watched, and he was playing in the All-Star game or something like that. A lot of people, I mean, this has been such a tremendous success. I'm so happy to see hockey getting the respect it deserves from so many other people that you wouldn't consider hockey fans.
I'm laughing a little bit because you're talking about quotes, and I sent one in our Discord chat that had me kind of rolling. There's the Offside Takes quote that they posted on X. It was, how does Matthew Tkachuk look like a GQ model? And Brady look like he's going to ask you 3 riddles before you cross his bridge.
That was a good one.
Just the fact that you can have content like that and get people talking, even if it's a joke that people are talking about it.
This game kind of represented the old joke where you say, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. It's just kind of what happened. Things did settle down in this game, and we got a great game out of it as well. You had the classic Connor McDavid flying up the side and scoring a ridiculous goal in only a way Connor McDavid can. And then Team USA coming right back and responding. Jake Gensel getting 2 goals in this game. The Lightning players.
Connor McDavid flew twice in this game, thanks to help of Charlie McAvoy. That
is very, very true. By the way, best wishes to Charlie McAvoy, who was hospitalized with something that, I don't think he's going to play in the championship game. So hopefully everything is okay with him.
I didn't hear. Actually, I'll look because I see a link now. I didn't realize he was hospitalized.
It was an infection.
some kind of infection
staph
from his
MRSA?
injury. We don't know the full details, although I did see that. I think it was who was it? Somebody got called up to Team USA. So that
Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes expects you to believe that McAvoy will not play in Thursday's game. So
and Hughes is just on emergency reserve. McAvoy, he's actually out week to week now. There's a report that just came out before the podcast started. So Quinn Hughes, he's not eligible to play just yet.
That's true. You're right.
So he's the reserve player. I saw a meme. It was the scene from Goodfellas when the dude was getting whacked when he thought he was getting made. And it was like Jake Sanderson walking into the locker room so Quinn Hughes can play. I don't know if you guys saw that. Because, man, Quinn Hughes would totally change the maybe not the tides of this tournament, but he is objectively the best U.S. defenseman currently. So it's a shame that he can't play. But maybe Sanderson's got to take one for the team.
He can't play because he needs someone else out? Say it again?
Yes. So the way it worked with Team Canada was when they were dealing with injuries. I don't know what the exact rules are, but basically you can't have an injury and just call somebody else up. It has to be like an emergency situation. So basically you have to have 2 players out where you wouldn't be able to put out a full lineup, and then you can call somebody else up to come in. That's kind of the general basis of it. So
right,
I don't know if they'll change that in the future.
Sense.
Exactly.
Well, that Ethan Marks just put.
Oh yes, can Mike Sullivan say that Hanifin has an injury so that Quinn can play, because then he would be able to if there was another injury for the USA.
We could have our own NHL Tanya Harding incident.
I don't even.
Is that in poor taste?
That reference. So
too soon.
Right.
You don't wait. Can we? You've never heard of Tanya Harding?
No.
Wow.
Okay. I don't. Don't know.
We'll have to revisit this another time.
We'll circle back.
Anyway, I do want to ask you guys about the overtime period. Of course, after the regulation ends, you have your classic 3-on-3 overtime, but instead of your typical 5 minutes, you are having 10 minutes of 3-on-3 overtime. And now listen, you guys know I'm a fan of the shootout. I know I'm in the minority. I enjoy the heck out of it. I think it's a lot of fun, but I love the 10-minute 3-on-3 overtime. I have no problem with 10 minutes of 3-on-3 and then doing a shootout if you somehow get that far. But I think this is something that NHL should absolutely do next year. No question about it.
I'm all on board with the one caveat that we revisit a debate that we had last season and we really haven't talked about this season. And that has something to do with moving the puck, where if you can't move the puck back into your own defensive end or something along those lines, just to prevent teams from
ragging,
making it. What's that?
Like ragging it, or just looking for the perfect opportunity,
right? Where they enter the offensive zone, turn around and go back to their defensive zone because it wasn't the perfect entry and they didn't like the setup. That makes 3-on-3 absolutely miserable. But if they rectify that, I think it's better to end it with guys skating.
And this is what the NHL likes to do. They like to implement a lot of rule changes in the AHL to see if they would translate well. They like to do it, in these little tournaments that they do. And I think this is probably something that, they hear how many disgruntled fans do not like the shootout. I'm not a fan of it, at least on TV. Inside the arena, it's actually a good time, but the 10-minute overtime is actually probably a pretty good idea. And like you're saying, Joe, some sort of method or rule to prevent that ragging and finding the perfect opportunity for a line change, something like that, make the red line almost like the entire offensive zone. I'm not sure. There's a couple different ways to do it, but a 10-minute 3-on-3 overtime is the way to go. And maybe if that doesn't even solve it, I don't want ties. Ties are probably one of the worst things in sports.
No, absolutely not. No ties.
Do a shootout after that and make the shootout a little bit more special, if you will, too. So, because the odds of you going through 10 minutes of 3-on-3 with no goals is a very, very slim chance. So I think this is the NHL dipping their toes in, seeing if this is a potential for bringing it into the actual regular season hockey.
Well, if you notice, they've also made the TV timeouts a little bit longer too.
Have
so they're testing a couple of different things.
I did not notice that, actually.
Yeah, and at my my local rink, they've even done away with shootouts going to 3-on-3 because, as the hockey director puts it, it's always faster. It always ends sooner than going to a shootout.
Honestly, it might make shootouts a little more exciting, considering the fact that you wouldn't get them as often. And when they do happen, it's like, oh, wow, okay, shootout. This is something you don't see too often with a 10-minute 3-on-3. I'm all for it. But like you said, Matt, no ties. I don't want the 10-minute 3-on-3, but then if for some reason nobody scores, it's a tie. I can't stand ties. They drive me nuts. I'm right there with you on that. Another rule change that they're kind of testing out here too, and has been talked about many times before. Actually, before I get to that, I wanted to mention too. I don't know if you guys saw. I think it was McKinnon who jokingly he was not on board with the 10-minute 3-on-3 overtime, talking about how he was very tired after the end of it. And the comments in response to that were fantastic, by the way. If you did not see them, basically everybody was kind of giving him a hard time about, well, maybe you should pass the puck once in a while and then you wouldn't be as tired. I did get a kick out of that. Crosby, I think it was Crosby, by the way, who said he loved the 10-minute 3-on-3 overtime. So even the players have liked it, except for McKinnon, who's apparently in the minority here. So wanted to throw that out there. But the point system for the Four Nations face-off is the 1-2-3 point system. And for those who may not know what it is, if you win a game in regulation, you get 3 points. And if you win a game in overtime, you only get 2 points. If you lose in overtime, you still get your typical 1 point. So taking away the more power of the quote-unquote loser points, where if you get rewarded for winning in regulation, and getting to overtime changes things up a little bit in the point system. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this because it's a small sample size. Of course, not a ton of games being played, but I kind of like it. It just seems like it makes sense to reward teams who win in regulation.
I'm a big fan of it. Obviously, I like the way that it's turned out for Team USA so far. Leading the standings, of course. So, who knows if I'll like it. In a couple of years if they put it in the actual regular season. But I think for right now,
benefit the Lightning right now, by the way, because they do not have a ton of overtime wins. So they're more regulation wins than overtime wins.
I would really love it if somebody, I'm not going to be the guy to do it, and I don't know if anybody in these comments would, but if somebody could go through past seasons and implement that scoring system and see how drastically it would change things. I wonder if it would be just kind of minute changes or if it really would change, playoff pictures and how things actually looked at the end of the season. That'd be cool if somebody could do that. But
the other thing that it would change the way that you can look at records too, though. So if you talk about the winningest season, it starts to, or the most points in a season, that'll change dramatically, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to compare where your team is now to where things have been historically. Not that that's that big of a deal. When they changed the scoring format for Formula One racing, for instance, and they started awarding the points completely differently, you no longer had an easy comparison to see where seasons past were or certain metrics that you would consider throughout the season. Like, I know that if you make it to, was it 100, and I think it's right at 100 points is basically where the threshold is to make the playoffs. Now, of course, it's going to be plus or minus, 5% on that, but that's exactly where it ends up. And I wonder how much that would change if you implemented this new point system. Obviously, it wouldn't be 100, but if that number is going to be a lot more wildly than the way it is now.
Here's one example of how it could affect the current NHL standings. Like, if you look at Boston, who is currently at 60 points, they're in 4th place in the wild card race. They only have 20 regulation wins, whereas the New York Rangers, who are only 2 points behind the Boston Bruins, have 25 regulation wins. So with the 3-2-1 system, they are easily ahead of Boston because they have so many more regulation wins. It's a lot more points that you pick up on Boston just because they are able to get to overtime a lot more. So that's one of the big changes. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones if you did a deep dive on all.
Well, now I'm not a fan because I hate the Rangers more than Boston. So scrap this whole idea.
No more. Really? I guess.
Oh, yeah.
They're both
terrible, but I mean, right now, Rangers hate's on top. It's paramount.
Regardless, I think everything they've done with the Four Nations face-off has been a success. I don't think there's much that they've done that people haven't liked. The games have been exciting. The games have been intense. They're getting great viewership. Because, by the way, shocker, they're promoting it. They made commercials about it. The NHL is actually doing a good job of putting out their great product. Who would have thought this was a good idea? Wow. Sorry, I know I'm being really sarcastic, but it does drive me crazy.
But you know what? They've done a terrible job with making it easy to find the games. Like if I have to ask you guys in a chat where I can watch, like the last one was on TNT, and I'm searching ESPN Plus. I'm searching on Hulu. I don't have TNT proper. I mean, I was about to go to to like a streaming site of some sort before I realized it was on Max, which it's just too difficult. Why do they make it so hard to allow the accessibility to people to watch these things? It blows my mind.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I think it's been more accessible the last couple of years than, let's say, the decade prior. I mean, TNT is now a pretty premium channel, pretty premium broadcast. They had the NBA rights for so long. I think their contract finally expired. Maybe you can get some, holdover fans of the NBA that loved their TNT broadcast, because the TNT broadcast does a great, great job. And with ESPN Plus now, like, you can watch every or almost every out-of-market game, whereas like a couple of years ago when it didn't exist, I was having to illegally stream every game that I wanted to watch. So I think it is more accessible now, but just getting the message out there that it is more accessible still needs some work. But like you're saying, Jake, here, they're doing a good job of actually promoting and saying, hey, this is where it is. This is where you can catch it at what time. So you guys are...
The TNT part is great. I mean, a lot of people have it. I just happen to not. And then trying to find the actual proper streaming service, because they've basically been balancing it between ESPN Plus and I guess Max, was my biggest struggle. Like, why are they differentiating? Especially because aren't they pretty much owned by the same conglomerate? I mean, I could be wrong.
Believe so.
CR here is with you, saying I have an extremely difficult time trying to find where it is playing. So he agrees with you, Joe. I blame this more on streaming services than I do the NHL, because there are so many. Like YouTube TV is a perfect example, and this is kind of getting off topic here, but they've become like cable companies at this point, and it's back to the typical, this YouTube TV doesn't have this channel, or Fubo TV doesn't have TNT, and they're constantly going at it with these contract negotiations and blaming the other side. And it's all this money now. You got to have 10 different streaming subscriptions to get everything that you want at once. Like, the fact that it's on TNT, ESPN, I think some of them are even on ABC as well, because ESPN and ABC are the same thing. I think that's great. I think there's a lot of ways to watch it, but a big problem is you have to have so many different streaming subscriptions. If you're out of one, your whole thing kind of gets thrown into a blender and makes things a lot more harder than it needs to be. We kind of see with the RSNs and what Bally is doing, and why a lot of them are disappearing. Like, people just want to pay one subscription and be able to watch what they want. And so I blame that a little more on the streaming services than I do on the NHL. I'm sure there's both blame to go around on everybody, but I do think that's part of it.
Yeah, the next comment actually that just got put through, I did that and I loved it. Yeah, we just put it on antenna. I have a HD antenna too. Watching ABC on it, watching the Super Bowl on it, that's so much easier. Than trying to find a stream or a service. Having that accessibility to people for hockey and games this much fun, man, I really do hope that it grows because of it.
And it does suck that cable has been resold back to us. Like, I'm somebody that, has every streaming service, but looking at Thursday's game, the championship game, it's on ESPN and ABC, the two big ones. But it's also going to be on Disney Plus too. ESPN is a Disney property now, so they're going to be streaming it on Disney Plus too. If you don't have ESPN Plus, I guess that's kind of cool too. Branching out to an even broader audience as well. They're making steps on making it more accessible to the average person.
What's going on with the NHL? They're making good commercials. They're talking about their tournament. I mean, what is this league that we're seeing right now? Holy cow! It's great to see. I love it. We've talked about this so many times, how the NHL has a fantastic product, but it's been a bad league for so long.
Yeah, best sport, worst league.
Doing it. So now let's just get rid of the jersey ads and get back to making anyway. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so it's good to see the NHL is having such a big success with the Four Nations Face-Off because it's been a great tournament. It's been a lot of fun, and now we're getting a rematch of Team USA and Team Canada once again here for the championship. And of course, we'll have a lot of Lightning players involved. Congratulations to Victor Hedman and Team Sweden. The tournament didn't turn out the way they wanted to. Hedman did get a point in one of the first games, but he will not be participating in the championship game, of course. So his time at the Four Nations tournament is done. But we'll have points, Cirelli and Hagel, of course, for Team Canada with Cooper behind the bench. And then you've got Gensel for Team USA. I know some people were giving Team Canada a hard time, that they weren't too thrilled about all of the Lightning players on Team Canada. That's what you get when you have John Cooper behind the bench and Julian Brisebois is the GM. Of course, they're going to pick their guys a little bit more. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Steve Dangle, who was doing a recap of the Canada-USA game, and of course he is Canadian, so he's rooting for Team Canada. But he joked about how, and I'm sure you guys felt this way with Team USA, but like you're watching these players that you normally don't like Tkachuk for the Panthers on Team USA, and then you see them go out there and do this stuff, kind of like you were saying, Joe, with Marchand, and you're like, oh man, I have a new respect for these guys. And that's what Dangle said about Hagel. We're seeing him drop the gloves and what Hagel has done. He's been like, man, I love this guy. And he's given Brendan Hagel a very hard time in the past. So funny to see that different side of it as well, but should be a great rematch this time in Boston and USA home territory.
I have one request. Boston, please hear me, and please don't boo the Canadian national anthem. Please don't boo it. We're better than that. But it's Boston. I got zero faith that that's going to happen. Zero. Absolutely zero.
Would you exchange no booing of the anthem for a 51st state chance?
Yes, that would be hilarious. One showing disrespect, right? I really don't want them to boo the national anthem. But I think the jest in saying that would be amazing. I would get behind that 100%.
Ethan says they're definitely going to do it. It is Boston. I don't know if there's a little more.
There's no way.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think you'll get more fun USA chance. I think that's we'll see, of course. By the way, again, not to get political, has a president ever been to a USA Canada hockey game? Like, I can't remember a time. Like, you've heard of like Ronald Reagan did a coin flip at the Super Bowl. He actually did that virtually, by the way. I don't know if you guys ever knew that. I didn't know that until recently. Yeah, he there's a whole thing about it. He had to do it virtually because he couldn't be there because it was inauguration day. Blah, blah, blah. Check out the story if you want to learn more about it.
Well,
but
Trump was at the Daytona 500, and that's USA versus the world right there. So,
well, so is he going to be there at the USA Canada game? I mean, how big are we going to get here with the Four Nations face-off? I mean,
I think that the chances of that are probably slim, only because of the size of the building. Like him going to the Super Bowl, where you have that a huge suite, and the number of suites are relatively low because it has to be. Anyone in that suite would have to be vetted, right? And the security and the logistics of it. But that would be pretty neat to see him there.
Because I don't think a sitting president has ever been to. I would have to look it up and get into it. I don't know, but I don't know if that's ever happened before. It might be fun. It's going to be a great game. I do know that, and I'm expecting a good one. The lines again are very close. I think they're both even right now for Team USA and Team Canada. But boy, how nice would it be? The USA already ended Crosby's perfect record in international tournaments. Can we get the gold medal here and have another historic? A lot of people are calling this run for Team USA. This is our. I'm blanking on the
miracle.
This is our miracle on ice moment.
Our generation
for this generation. Yes, exactly. So I don't know if it's that level, but it's fun. And I'm really excited to see how this game
is. It's not that level.
No. But I mean, looking at how the Team USA is put together, thinking about the teams that have been fielded in the Olympics in, the last, I guess, 15, 20 years, there's a lot of skill that's coming out of the United States right now. And I think that it's only going to get better. We got guys like Austin Matthews on the list. When you got guys like tied for second for points in the tournament, Mr. Jake Gensel. Oh yeah, he's putting out.
So who's he beat by?
Technically, Mikael Granlund, Zach Werenski, and Sidney Crosby. Well, let's just go with that. Sidney Crosby and Zach Werenski both have 5 points, and then there's 4 people that have 4 points, including the names like Jack Eichel, McDavid. McKinnon's got 3 points, but they're all goals. Maybe he should pass the puck.
Yeah.
But the talent that the USA has is, I wonder if we'll ever not be a contender.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have gone back and looked at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey lineup, another NHL sanctioned tournament, but Team USA was embarrassingly bad. Like, it was horrible. The Young Guns Team North America team was way better. Team Canada was way better. Team Europe was way better. Like, Team USA sucked that year. Their roster was not good. It had, like, really
Was it Ryan
laughable.
Malone even on that one?
No, I think
Was
he
it
had
the prior year or prior tournament?
It could have been, but like there were some funny names. Like, you had some good names like Dustin Buffalin and John Carlson, but there was also like Matt Niskanen's, Justin Abdelkader. Like it could not be a completely different roster. I don't think there's any holdovers from it, but now you've got guys Jack Eichels, the Kachucks, the Connor Hellebucks. Like it is a star-studded lineup, and it is the deepest by far, in my opinion. The top end talent on Canada is definitely better, but
Tyler Mott's on that roster.
Who?
Tyler Mott is on that roster.
Really interesting. That's real interesting. I miss Tyler Mott.
Yeah, so I mean that's for the U.S. men's national roster from 16. That's what he said, 16, right?
Yeah. Are you sure is that the World Cup of Hockey?
I'm just looking at the USA Hockey Men's World Championship roster.
So that's like team. The players that didn't make the playoffs, and they're like that's the weird national championship that nobody hardly pays attention to.
I do think USA has the advantage when it comes to goaltending, though, on these two rosters because Binnington hasn't been great for Team Canada. I don't even know who Team Canada's backup is.
Aiden Hill.
Okay, well.
Or Montembeault.
That's right. They have Montembeault, too. But I think USA definitely has the advantage there in goaltending, which we kind of saw in that game in the Team USA, Team Canada matchup. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch it. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus, all that fun stuff. If you can't find it, just put it on antenna, and then you should be good to go. I do have an important question here from CR that he says, where can I get merchandise? Well, I'm glad you asked, CR. You can head over to shop.rblrsports.com and use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. We got an awesome bunch of team-inspired merch. Lightning, Rays, Rowdies, the Sun, everything you can think of, we got it Tampa Bay related. So over there to shop.rblrsports.com and use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. Links are always in the description. I don't know if Sierra was actually asking about where can I get Team USA merch, but I'm going to pretend that he was asking about RBLR merch because that's where it's at right now. I'm sure you can get Team USA merch on any NHL website pretty easily too as well. So I do like the Team USA Four Nations jerseys. They are. Oh, how do you guys feel about this? Because I did notice this. They're all home jerseys. Like Team USA and Team Canada, it's home and home. And I thought I saw somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but I've seen rumors that the NHL is talking about bringing back away as the home and they're kind of switching the colors back up again. The color's fun. I do wish Team USA had an away jersey. I'm a big fan of the classic dark at home, white when you're on the road. So I don't know how you guys feel about the jersey colors, but that's just me.
So to tackle the second question first for the home and aways, I like having the darks as the home team, Like, I think that just feels right. It makes more sense. But at the same time, I do like having the away team come and wear their colors. Like, if, you're going to, a bunch of Tampa Bay Lightning games, you're always seeing the home team in blue and the away team in white. I guess if they reversed it, you see the other teams come in their colors. I don't know. That's kind of like maybe an ADHD thing for me or something, but I am torn down the middle with it. As far as the Four Nations jerseys go, it's pretty simple to do if everybody can have a dark jersey, which I do like. I do like for this tournament, but there's only 4 teams, and you can just talk to the jersey manufacturers. You're like, okay, we can't be too close to these colors or combos here, so you can do the home, and home jerseys. So I do like that idea, but it's going to be pretty impossible next year for the Olympics.
Could you imagine Lightning Leafs home and home?
Oh God,
it would not go well.
Ooh, yeah, that wouldn't work at all. That kind of, I was going to say something, that kind of just put a, I don't know how you get around that, but maybe if there was like every other month or every third month, or maybe the first half of the season versus second half of the season, you do the switch where you get darks at home for part of the season and lights at home for the other part. So you do get some of the other jerseys. I would like to see other home jerseys, colorful jerseys in person, where you wouldn't usually get that opportunity. And who cares if it confuses the fans when they're watching it on TV or something? I don't really think that would matter there too much.
Equipment managers listening to this are hating this idea.
But I mean, it's all logistics, right? I mean, it's just someone's got to book a flight, someone's got to pack up jerseys. You just make sure you get your checklist right. And if you get it wrong, honestly, would it be that terrible if the other team just wore whatever that they had?
I'm a sucker for jerseys. I love that kind of stuff. As the Lightning come out with a jersey, I'm more than likely going to buy it. I love that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that it confuses me. I just don't like seeing white at home, just because it's the way I watch sports and hockey. It's always been like, I like the Buccaneers. Like, I get why they wear white at home, because it's hot out there and they need to wear those white uniforms, and they want to make the other team wear the dark colors. But I love the Bucs red uniforms, and I wish I could see them more. But that's,
that's why they need to do the best of both worlds and wear the creamsicles.
I'm fine with the creamsicles. I do love the creamsicles. I love the pewter that they did. Well, I'm on a Bucs tangent here, but I love the pewter that they did last year. But let us know in the comments down below. What are your guys' opinions on some of the jerseys here for the Four Nations face-off? Are you for some home and home matchups? Do you want to see some more white uniforms for the home team on home ice? We'd love to hear what you guys have to think. I do want to get to a comment here from Ethan saying both your Chucks are good to go for tomorrow, by the way.
Let's go.
Good to know. Team USA rested a couple of guys in that last game against, who was it, Finland? Or did they play Sweden? They played Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
It was Sweden. So there's no way those guys are going to miss that game, even if they had a major injury, I would imagine, unless they really couldn't play. But you knew they were going to be out there on the ice for that.
During that Sweden USA game, I actually didn't watch it, but it seemed like every time I'd open my phone, it was like, this guy's going to the locker room and this guy's not playing. So you'd have to assume that like everybody that has like the minorest, tiniest little bug or something is sitting it out. Charlie McAvoy excluded, and that's something completely different. But like Tkachuk, he banged his knee on the post, and he went back to the locker room.
He went full speed into the post in a game that the results didn't matter. What a dumb play.
And then, Tkachuk, he didn't play. Was it the U.S. versus Canada game? He didn't play like anything after the first period. So you got to assume it was something, pretty serious, but enough he could stay on the bench for. I'm assuming everything was just precautionary. It's good to hear that both of them are ready to go. As much as I don't like Matthew, those two playing together and those two playing for Team USA is a spectacle to behold.
You want to see full lineups for this matchup.
Yes. And Quinn Hughes.
And Quinn Hughes in there. Oh, yeah, but then you would need injuries. I forgot about this, by the way. Daniel, he was going to the games in Boston. He mentioned that a while ago. And he said, just got home from Boston. How do they go back to an all-star game after this tournament? So a couple things here, right? I agree. Like, this has been such a big success for the NHL. You have to expect that they're going to do it again. But this is a 2-week break. If you're going to add, unless you kept it at 4 nations, if you wanted to add more teams, you can't really make the break too long, I don't think. So is this something maybe they could move to after the end of the season, and then you can add more teams? You still have the All-Star break, but people just maybe look more forward to the 4 nations. I don't know how that all works logistically, but I'm all for more 4 nations.
I had a friend that suggested something, and I actually like the sound of it. You can do right before preseason, do a single round, like for qualifiers. So if there's probably maybe 8 teams, I think that, if I counted right, that maybe 9 that can make it. So you do a round every 2 months. You have like 3 or 4 days off. The entire league does, and you do 1 game, which will be, end up being 4 games, I suppose. But everyone's only playing in 1. And that allows them to start kind of doing some round robin stuff in order to determine who qualifies. What that'll also do is, I don't know if you guys noticed how bad passing was in those first games, especially, I was noticing a lot for Team Canada, where people were just getting pucks in their feet, not expecting a pass and not being there in support. It allows these international players, or like the tournament players, to get more familiar with each other. So you would actually have a better product on the ice by the time the tournament rolls around. And then also, I think it would help out some players get a little bit of extra rest. A guaranteed 4-day off. Maybe it's too much logistically to figure out, but I don't see why it couldn't work.
I like that idea a lot, actually. Like, keep it the 4 nations face off, and then you have a little qualifying round earlier on at some point. And if you make it, then you get to play the 4 nations face off. I do like that a lot. Comment here from Daniel again here. World Cup of Hockey is supposed to be after the Olympics with 8 teams. Yes, that is true. And they're looking at who's going to start hosting that already. We have so many different tournaments now. Like, there's the 4 nations face off, there's the Olympics, there's the World Cup of Hockey. So far, to me, the 4 nations face off has been by far the best. I can't really tell you why that's been. Maybe it's just the perfect storm of the way it's been. I'm for more 4 nations face off right now, even with the Olympics and the World Cup of Hockey. Maybe these other tournaments will be better too now in the future too, but give me more 4 nations face off.
Are you saying you'd rather take 4 versus 8?
I'm saying I like this tournament style better.
I mean, I like what they're doing as opposed to the All-Star game, but I think the limiting it to 4 nations is simply just to reach back into the world of international hockey, like I was saying earlier in the show. Now that they've seen how successful it is, how well it does work, and now they are starting to plan bringing in an actual World Cup, even if it is limited to 8 teams, which is still a rather small number, if you ask me, considering the amount of hockey playing nations, but that's going to be your best product. You can extend this a little bit longer as well. That's what they're going to be planning on going forward, is every 2 years Olympics, and every 2 years after that, like I guess during the Summer Olympics years, they're going to be doing the World Cup, and then every couple of years doing the All-Star game as well too. So I think it'll be a nice rotating cast of mid-season activities / tournaments, whatever you want to call them.
That could be good. That's true.
I do like where they're going. I think the All-Star game in every single league is not what it used to be. I think we can come to grips with one All-Star game every 3 years or whatever it would shake out to, or every other year.
The bottom line is this tournament's been great, and the NHL has a very good opportunity to do something even better and continue this and make, really build hockey in general in its popularity and continue to make it better. Now, will they do that, or will they fumble the bag? Who knows? The jury's still out on that one, but it's been a good start, no question about it. I'm excited. I do want to get to our 3 stars of the week, guys, because we do have 3 stars. A little bit different this time around, not just going off how the Lightning specifically were playing, but we're doing our 3 stars of the week based off the Lightning players that were in this tournament. So those who are going to be our 3 stars, the guys who succeeded the most in the Four Nations face-off. So starting off with our number 3 star, he's the man that's been one of the top goal scorers for the Lightning this season and picked up some pretty big moments here for Team Canada, scoring one, had that assist with Brad Marchand, and that's Braden Point, who gets our 3rd star of the week for Team Canada. Braden Point has been fantastic. It's great to see him continue to shine even during this break.
He's +2 on the tournament and a goal and an assist, as you mentioned. Seeing him play with other players is it's so funny because you know that there's skill there, but they don't necessarily know how to find each other or use each other most efficiently. And just the fact that he's able to connect with another player and then score a nice goal, it's what you expect out of him. So he's out there playing well and playing better than some of the other guys we got out there. So yeah, good for him.
And it was such a Braden Point-esque goal too. A rebound that you just tap in on the side of the net. I'm not calling him a tap-in merchant or anything, but he scores from the hash marks in 90% of his goals. It's been fun to see him play with guys like Marchand or whoever else Cooper decides to throw him out there with. But it seems like I haven't seen him a whole lot. Like a lot of people are getting frustrated with Hagel and Cirelli and how they're being deployed. I think it's just anti-Lightning Canadians
how can you get frustrated with Brandon Hagel? Like after what he did in stepping up to take that fight of Chuck, who is not an easy person to fight for his country. Like, how could you be frustrated with Brandon? Sorry, Matt.
You're good.
Really angry.
I guess I haven't seen a lot of that, since that game, but it almost seemed like Cooper was deploying Braden Point less than those 2 other guys, and there's probably a good reason for it. But you got a goal and an assist in this tournament, ended up positive. That's pretty cool for Braden. It looked like you had something to say, Joe.
I was just gonna say he's such a fast player that if you don't know where he's going to be, he's probably difficult to catch in full stride. Yeah. And you're saying that it was like a tap in for him, but he was going so fast and he moved the puck horizontally a lot in order to score that goal. His hands are even faster than his skating. That was a high skilled goal in order to get that tap in.
All right, I concede.
Well, speaking of Brandon Hagel and how could you be frustrated with him, guys? He's our number 2 star of the week because he has been great. I'm willing to give him almost the number 1 star just for the fight. What is so funny? What are you 2 laughing at?
I was wondering what the little pancake emoji was. I was like, no, his nickname is Bagel. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then I'm thinking it's got to be with something to do with syrup, I'm assuming, because Point had the maple leaf. So.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
Hey, Brandon Hagel gets the 2nd star of the week. Had the great fight for Team Canada when Team USA squared off against him, but it was played well as well. Oh,
as well. Yeah. Again, like I guess I wanted to save a little bit for the Brandon Hagel segment, but.
Your mic went. That is so awesome. The timing couldn't have been better. We're like, I wanted to save some for it, but then just silence. That's great. You had nothing left to say. I mean, so his stats haven't looked as good. He's been a utility player, right? He's -3 on the tournament, but he has played really hard. And some of the penalty kill situations that he's been part of, still managing to find ways to kill off time and make sure that there's not really good opportunities when he's playing on the defensive side of the puck. That's what I took away from it, plus his heart and soul that's been in it is why he's such a great player for us and obviously for Team Canada.
Joe took the words out of my mouth because I didn't get to say them.
Literally. All right, it's time for our number 1 star of the week. And let me tell you guys, oh, mama, don't you cry, because Team USA is do or die. And then, of course, is Jake Guentzel, who gets our number 1 star. He got the player of the game after the Team Canada, Team USA game. He has been on fire, scoring goals, picking up points. This guy can do it all. Jake Guentzel, number 1 star, no question about it.
Not a doubt. I mean, I didn't get to watch, or I just didn't watch the Sweden-USA game. But all the games played prior to that, Jay Gensel was arguably the best player on either team for any of those games. I thought he had plenty of scoring chances. He was back there responsibly defensively. Just everything we see from him on your average Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday night on the Lightning or on the Hurricanes or on the Penguins. Like, he's so consistent from what we saw, or like what we know of Jay Gensel, and he's just kind of amplifying it playing for Team USA. Like, they're not, easy goals that he's coming by. There was that 1 5-hole goal, and he had to try like heck to get that empty netter too. It didn't just, plop onto his stick. And he's got 3 goals in this tournament as well, and an assist, I do believe. So he has been playing his heart out. He is trying to, usurp Joe Pavelski's nickname as Captain America, and I will be the first proponent proposing this bill of making Jake Gensel Captain America. He's not dragging this team on his back, but he has undoubtedly been one of the best, top 3 players in this tournament. I'd argue top 1, at least for Team USA. So he's been playing phenomenally. Sorry to ramble.
No, I mean, it's all great stuff. And the other thing to mention that I would add to it is that he's averaging a little over 20 minutes of ice time in game played. That's, it's a third of the ice time. That's a big deal. It's showing how much that he is trusted to be on the ice with that team and putting in points, having a positive plus minus there. He's been very, very effective, and honestly surprised the hell out of me that he's scoring more goals than I would have thought. I would have thought Pointer would have had more than him, but no, Gensel's bearing him where he needs to.
Well, the Team USA coach is Mike Sullivan, who he played under for 8 years or something like that.
Fair.
Like, it's easy to have chemistry with guys on the ice. It's pretty easy to have chemistry with a coach that trusts you and knows your game. Only a year removed from being on his bench, those two know what it takes to get it done. And Jake Gensel is playing tremendously under Mike Sullivan once again. So just that connection right there is proven why he deserves that amount of ice time when you've got such a star-studded team.
Well, hopefully he'll be coming back home with a gold medal for Team USA and representing the Lightning. Lightning will have a gold medal representative, whether it's Team USA or Team Canada. A lot more on Team Canada, obviously, but it's going to be a fun matchup. I can't wait for it. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You're going to want to watch this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we will be back to Lightning hockey coming up very, very soon. We're going to have the Seattle Kraken is the next home game for the Lightning after the break. That's on the 23rd, 6 p.m. Eastern, by the way. Why on earth is that game at 6 p.m. Eastern? I don't know 100% why that
Which day?
But, it's on a Sunday, the 23rd. The game is at 6 p.m.
Well, it's not in Seattle. What?
It's in Tampa. So a little baffled to why that is. But, hey, all right, cool. 6 p.m. Eastern for the Lightning versus Kraken. So we will have Lightning hockey back. Hopefully everybody stays healthy.
It kind of looks like maybe not. A lot of these starts are staggered on Sunday. There's a lot of Sunday games for whatever reason. I guess not.
Is it the frenzy face-off thing? There goes Matt's mic once again. Oh, maybe that's our cue. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in once again for us with this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, hit that share button. It really does help us out if you did enjoy the video. Matt's mics are switching back and forth. Matt, oh boy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Follow us on social media at RBR Sports, at RBR Lightning. We'll talk to you guys in the next one. Go Team USA.
USA!
Steel blades carve the frozen land. Eagles honor in our hand. Strength and might beyond compare. Victory waits in the free.